Welcome back for another video. In this video we're going to run through how the team's looking for double Gameweek28 and the transfer plans this week. I'm looking to attack the double with a couple of transfers. Starting with a quick look at how last game week went first. 74 points in total with a -4, so a red arrow to about 100k. Likely Edison's last week in the team and he did concede that screamer from Rashford. Man United's 0.25 expected goals was the second lowest of the game week. Sheffield United managed 0.24 xg. It was a bad week not to have a keeper clean sheet after Dubravka and Arriola did well. Clean sheets across the defence though between Saliba, Gabriel and Van Dijk. The two transfers in were Palmer and Son, who did both return, but of course Foden made way and he scored twice, so that resulted in some drop points there. I think there's some game weeks every season where you're faced with a really difficult decision, and this was definitely one of those weeks. Game week 28 the plan is to buy double game week players, game week 29 free hit, so it was game week 27 to buy Son or not at all. Foden with Man United, Liverpool and Arsenal, whereas Son with Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Luton. So in the end, it actually boiled down to game week 30, where Son looks like he might be the best captain in the game, given that Haaland faces Arsenal. So a bad transfer after the first week, hopefully Son can claw back the points dropped, but there is also every chance it gets worse. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the luxury position of moving Hwang to Son, which many managers were able to do. Those that sold KDB for Son instead did very well with that call. Looking longer term though, I'd like to have a midfield of Palmer, Son, Saka, Gordon and then Salah in Hwang's place. If I can come out of the blank, perhaps in game week 31 with those five in midfield, on paper it looks like a very good position to be in. City punished a late mistake from Amrabat, which was Haaland's goal. Big relief of no captain blank. And of course Watkins with the brace, well played if you captain him against Luton. He's extended his position as the top scoring player in the game now. Let's get into the team for double game week 28. In goal, Edison's away to Liverpool, so I'm looking to shift him on this week. All in all, he's actually been a reasonably good transfer. Recent returns of 2, 9, 6, 5 and 6. City have a good chance of doubling in game week 37, so he might be reunited one more time before the season's over. He is my favourite option in the City defence, with the rest of the defenders unreliable for starts. City have a really good final 8 fixtures of the season though, so I'm expecting some rotation as Pep juggles other cup competitions. In defence, it's Saliba, Gabriel and Pedro Porro. I'm weighing up a defender transfer this week as well. I'd be very surprised if Spurs keep a clean sheet away to Villa, and at the time of recording we're yet to know if Porro is actually back for this one or if he needs one more week. So it's a clear opportunity to add a double game week defender to the team, more on that later. Lining up with double Arsenal defence again versus Brentford. After 27 game weeks, Arsenal have conceded just 18.76 expected goals, which is comfortably top in the league. City's defence is elite as well, but even then there's 7 expected goals conceded off Arsenal. I'm interested to know who you think wins the league this season between City, Liverpool and Arsenal. Let us know in the comments. Gabriel's 2.94 expected goals this season ranks second best among all defenders after Cash. Moving on to the midfield, which is Palmer, Son, Saka and Gordon. I'm hoping for a wide open game between Chelsea and Newcastle as a Palmer and Gordon owner. Trippier went off injured last match, and the latest that he's going to miss the Chelsea game, and reportedly has a chance of returning against West Ham, which will be game week 30, so he's going to be a massive miss for them. They've only played twice without him this season. It was the 4-2 loss against Liverpool and 3-0 win over Fulham. Livramento is a very capable backup though, to be honest. Newcastle's underlying defensive numbers have improved a little bit as of late, but still way off where they want to be. 11.2 expected goals conceded over the last 6, which ranks 12th. Palmer's got 10 goals, 8 assists this season, and since he made his full Chelsea debut, he's got 125 points at a rate of 6.9 points per game, which is insane for a player at the start of the season at 5 mil. Son travels to Villa, who are starting to get a couple of players back from injury, and they look on the up with 3 wins on the bounce now. Concert was back in the starting 11 last match and Pau Torres made the bench. Villa have conceded 15 goals in home games this season. Only City, Arsenal and Liverpool have conceded fewer. As a reminder, there's midweek European football before the game week 28 deadline, so hold your transfers if possible. Sensible thing to do this week. Man City, Brighton, Liverpool, Aston Villa and West Ham have all got a game before next weekend. This one should be a really good game. I fancy both teams to concede here. In the reverse fixture, Villa edged a 2-1 win over Spurs and Son blanked. Starboy Saka faces a Brentford team that have kept just 1 clean sheet in their last 17 games, which is really poor, and they've just lost me to injury. Arsenal are doing really well to spread the goals around at the moment, which isn't great when Saka's your only attacker. Against Sheffield United, Havertz, Martinelli, Odegaard, Rice, Saka, White and Kiwior all got attacking returns. They were 1 Jorginho return short of the entire starting 11 getting a return, be it a clean sheet or attacking return. Over the last 6 game weeks, Brentford have conceded 14.92 expected goals, which actually ranks worst in the league, 17 goals conceded over that spell. Gordon travels to Stamford Bridge this week. He's going to go down as one of my favourite transfers ever. Picking him up in Gameweek 7, I think it was, and he hasn't stopped returning since. Though we do know he's not performed nearly as well in away games. He's got 17 returns this season, only 3 of those came on the road. He comes out of blank Gameweek 29 with back-to-back home games to West Ham and Luton though, so very happy to have him. Him and Palmer are the enablers that are going to pave the way for a route back to Salah, while also retaining Son, Saka and Haaland. I'm going to talk more on future transfer plans in a minute. The front three is Solanke, Watkins and Haaland. Captaincy would have been wide open this week if not for the double, given that Haaland's against Liverpool. Saka gets the vice captaincy, but it's probably going to switch to a double Gameweek player coming in. Solanke captain this week then. Bournemouth's expected goals is actually really poor in home games. 15.9 XG ranks 3rd worst in the league. 13 goals in home games, also 2nd fewest. Sheffield United have managed 12 in home games. So if you fancy a differential captain, you could opt for a Bournemouth defender or Neto. Not out of the question for them to keep back-to-back clean sheets this week. I suppose it's also worth pointing out the fact that Bournemouth haven't played Luton and Sheffield United at home yet, which could be partly why they're lower than expected in home games. Let us know below if your captain is Solanke or someone else this week. Haaland travels to Anfield for a massive game in the title race. There tends to be lots of goals when these two collide. Recent results 1-0, 4-1, 3-2, 1-0, 3-1, 3-2 etc. If we look at their last 9 league meetings since the start of the 2019-20 season, there's been 31 goals at a rate of 3.4 goals per game on average. A big call many are making this week is whether to sell Haaland for Morris. The move does make a lot of sense if you're not free hitting in Gameweek 29, as you get 3 games from Morris versus 1 for Haaland. I'm relieved to have the safety blanket of free hit 29 planned though, to at least avoid that headache. Liverpool still missing Alisson, Jota, Trent and maybe Gravenberch. Salah has been spotted training so he could be back. Liverpool are away to Sparta Prague in Europa League before, so we should get a good update from that match. Watkins completes the 11 with a home game against Spurs. As I say, I'm expecting both teams to score, so I'm hoping for something from Watkins and Son. Both teams play with a high line, which we could see exploited. It should be a great watch this one. Despite Watkins sitting as the top scoring player in the game right now, he actually might be leaving the team in a few weeks as the path back to Salah. More on that in a minute. The bench is Dubravka, Estupinian, Van Dijk and Hwang. One free transfer at 0.9 mil in the bank. I mentioned earlier that I'm looking to bring in a couple of double Gameweek players this week. The plan is to sell Edison for Neto and Estupinian for Zabarnyi. This gets the team to triple Bournemouth, no Luton for the double. 2 logical moves really, given that Edison's got Liverpool, Dubravka's got Chelsea, and Estupinian and Pedro Porro question marks for this week. To show my loose plan for the coming weeks, after Neto and Zabarnyi in this week, I'll be free hit 29. We'll skip over Gameweek 29 for now. I'll be spending next week weighing up the best team there. Gameweek 30, I'll likely roll the transfer. Van Dijk and Porro come into start in 11, and a call to make on the double Bournemouth defence of Neto, or perhaps more likely start Dubravka who's home to West Ham, and they should have Trippier back by then. And then in Gameweek 31, it's the potential route back to Salah. He's home to Sheffield United, so I really don't want to go into that week without him. So I'm looking at Watkins to Muniz, who is flying at the moment. He's got 42 points over the last 5, which is 5th best over that run, and he's only 4.5 mil. And then it'd be Hwang to Salah, and I'd have to find 0.9 mil somewhere, which might have to be Van Dijk to a defender that doubles in Gameweek 34, which might be Palace, so Anderson for 4.7 mil works well. The downside to getting Salah back in is of course losing Watkins, though he does have City in Gameweek 31, but I'd also be losing Van Dijk, who has Sheffield United that week. Thereafter, I'll build towards double Gameweek 34. If Palace do double, then someone like Eze probably comes in for example. So that's the plan for Gameweek 28 in the coming weeks. If you'd like to follow my team and other FPL content, make sure you're subscribing. See you soon for the next one.